Hey guys, I'm Kodiak and today I'm going to show you how to fillet a fish. Today I went out spearfishing this morning, and about 10 minutes into the water I got an absolute monster of a California halibut, especially for the area I'm in. So having a very good day today. Here is the fish, a big halibut, and I'm going to show you how to fillet these because they're very different from filleting most fish, and they're actually really easy if you know how. So the first thing I need to do is I'm just going to take, most kitchen knives will work, just make sure it's a really sharp one. I don't want to dull my fillet knife that I'm going to use later, so I'm just going to use this one to cut through the skin for the initial cuts. So there's a lateral line that runs along the fish, down the center, and over here to the tail. And the meat easily separates on either side. This is, to a halibut, this is the back and the belly portion. So I'm actually going to cut along that lateral line. All the way down to the tail there, and then at the tail I'm going to cut across. That's where we're going to end our fillets. Now here you can feel, this is, the collar is down here, and then you can feel the skull, and the meat runs to about there. So I'm going to cut an angle up there, and then you can feel where the ribs start in here, and I'm just going to cut another angle down on the fish like that. And this is all good meat, so I'm going to go through and deal with that separately, but just to get these two main fillets, those are the cuts that I'm going to do. There's actually a few bones in here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut those out right now. So now I'm going to take my fillet knife and just feel where that spine runs through there. Make sure it's all the way down. And then on each side I'm just going to add an angle, and I want it to have a nice bend to it, real flexible blade. Some people don't like that. That's just the style of blade that I use. And I'm just going to slide right along the bones with it. And all the way up to the top there. And then cut through the skin and up along the side there. And there's one side with the skin still on. Then here, same, get it onto the other side of that bone, and this one's easier to do now that you have that one piece removed. You just slide right along there. And there is the other half. Now, that's only half of the fish. There's actually the same amount of meat on this side, which a little bit easier. The line actually does something up here, but you don't follow that part. You only follow it from here, and then you can actually still see a bit of a line right here that goes up. So I'm going to make that same cut along the fish. exactly the same as the front or the top side of the fish you do on the bottom portion of the fish. Except this one, I fillet this piece off first. Doesn't really matter which piece you do first, but I just like to work on the one closest to me first. And there's the first piece from that side. And with this fish, I actually got quite lucky because my flopper on it didn't deploy when I shot it. I found that out after I got to the surface because when I first shot it, it was actually hit the spine and stoned the fish. So that makes the meat a lot better in my opinion, and as well as the fish doesn't suffer as much, which I also appreciate. And there is the other portion of the fish. And here you can see down here, that's the spot where I just totally shattered the spine with my shaft. And the video of this happening is actually going to be put up, so if you watch my channel you'll see that. Okay, now this part is, there's not really any style that I use for getting the rest of the meat. I just kind of avoid bones. There's a few that run along the top here, and then there's the rib bones that you have to cut over top of, but there's still quite a bit of meat here left in the collar that you don't want to waste. And this is normally meat that I'll use either baked or for this fish I'm going to actually make a big chowder with any of the scraps from it. But there you go, that's also all boneless meat right there. These are the ribs, and there's some bones running through that. Yeah, I can feel one right there. And now I'm just gonna twist the collar off and use my other knife some in order to separate it. So that's all collar meat. Don't want to waste that. And once again, being a halibut, there's more on the other side. And more collar meat. And some people like to do this. I like to do this on the big ones anyway. I do is you can slide the fillet knife into there. And once again, this just goes off of the idea that I really don't like to waste any meat on these fish. And the big ones have quite a lot right here. And cut across. There's cheek meat. And you can see actually, you know you've done pretty good when it's either a little bit see-through for light, or even here there's a hole because I got so close to the bones. And that's what you're going for. That's where you know you're not wasting much meat. The next step is going to be to take all of the skin off of the meat. And for me, I'm going to leave this one with the skin on because that's the belly is the part that I like to grill, or the bottom side, and then the top side I'm going to be using for other stuff. And you can use the fillet knife or the other knife. Doesn't really matter. On a big fish, it's a little easier, I find, to use the other knife. I'll move that so you can see it better. And there's halibut skin and really nice big fillet. And then here, do the other section. And for this especially, it's really important to make sure your knives are really sharp. Because then it'll just slide right along and you'll be able to get the meat without, or use this knife, the meat without losing all the, or without too much skin on it, and you'll be able to keep as much of the fish as you possibly can. And halibut are a harder one to do this with than most fish are founded. So sometimes you do get left with a little piece like that stays on, and not too big of a deal to just cut it off like that. And I'll go over all of this later. Make sure that it's all good before I package it. These pieces I'm going to cut. That'll go tonight into the chowder. That's sort of a different muscle group on this fish. That's what those little side fins are from. And then the rest of this I'm going to cut into pieces about like that in order to put on the grill. There's one. And I'll just portion it out like that. So I hope this video helped you. I hope you're able to apply this to big fish that you catch. And comment if you were able to do this successfully. Comment, suggestions for other things you want to see. I'm really trying to build a new side of my YouTube, so it's not just spearfishing videos. So just give me your input.